صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. هذه الدنيا كساعة.
Dr. Mir will not be here, as he indicated last week. He's out in Alberta. So this week we're having a panel to discuss the challenge of becoming successful in a difficult world. So the panel of 4 that you see at the front will inshallah be talking about the challenges that they face here in the City of London. So inshallah we'll be listening alertly to what they have to say, as it may affect us as we take on the future. So at the end of each speaker, there will be some time for questions. If you'd like to ask the speaker for any questions at all, there'll be time for that. So to call upon the first speaker, Dr. Heba Barhouni. She is a dentist by trade and is the head of MAC's fundraising committee for Neuro Gardens. So I'd like to call upon Dr. Heba.
How's everybody doing? Great, alhamdulillah. You can hear me? Good. All right, so I'll start with a brief introduction about myself, and then I'll tell you about the hardships that I faced as a Muslim woman growing up in North America. So, few facts. I was born and raised in London, Ontario. I come from a very wealthy family, alhamdulillah. I very recently put on the hijab, and so for my whole life, it wasn't that hard fitting in. And I was lucky enough to have a photographic memory, so things were very easy for me in high school and university. And I became a dentist pretty easily. And yeah, so life has been easy for the past 20 or 30 years or so. Obviously, none of that was true. I wasn't born here. I came here when I was 12 years old from Saudi Arabia. So culture shock, language shock, everything you can imagine. And if this wasn't enough, a few months after arriving, 9/11 happened. So it really went downhill from there. But alhamdulillah, first struggle of the way, a long, long road. Then after finishing grade 8, which was my first grade here, went to Westminster High School. Westminster, for all the troubled people. For those who's been to Westminster here, or has family there, so you know how it's like. You either make it or it breaks you. So second struggle of being here. But you soon learn when you're there. There are many people that have gone there before you. And a lot, alhamdulillah, have made it really far. You work hard. You don't tell yourself, oh, but I'm in a poor high school, I can't do it. You work hard. You put the right friends around you, and you'll make it through, inshallah. And so, just like that, high school was done. But in high school, I had done one of the major decisions of my life, and it was to put on the hijab. At the time, it wasn't that big of a deal. A lot of people in Westminster especially wear the hijab. So I didn't think it was a big deal. Soon after, committing to the hijab was actually what became the bigger deal of my life. First job was when I was in high school. Who remembers Krispy Kreme? So I applied to the job not having the hijab on. First day of work, I had the hijab on. I was freaking out. Like, they're going to kick me out. It's all glass. Everybody can see me. I'm the only person wearing the hijab. What's going to happen? I just go, keep my head high, do my job. Nobody said anything at the beginning. First performance review rolls around, and I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what she's going to tell me, like, you know, the way you look, this or that, uniform. What does she tell me, my manager at the time? SubhanAllah. It tells me, out of everybody that works here, you're the one I don't have to worry about hygiene. Your hair is always covered. You always match it so beautifully. I love it. SubhanAllah, just like that, what was supposed to be one of the biggest struggles for me became one of the advantages that I had. So, third struggle out of the way, alhamdulillah. University comes, there's always times of ease and times of struggle. Don't think that life is always going to throw struggles at you. University came and it was actually a little bit easier in undergrad. The MSA at Western is fabulous. Had so many friends. The prayer room was where we went to hang out. We had so many things in common. Things started to get easy. So I'm like, okay, good. I can actually take a breath now. And then I wanted to decide what I wanted to be for the rest of my life, inshallah. Many roads opened up, but I wanted to aim high. I aimed for the hardest program to get up to at Western, and that's dentistry. Harder than law, harder than medicine, harder than engineering, but that's the lifestyle I wanted for myself. I had my reasons, whether it's because of the things that I liked about dentistry or what it can offer for me in the future as a mother and as a Muslim female. That's the route I wanted to take. I know it was tough. It was very, very tough. Did I have a photographic memory? Not even close. I have a very crappy memory, actually. But I had to do it. Started with, okay, I'm going to keep my work skills the same way I had in high school. I did well, I'll do well again. Not so much. I worked harder. My average improved a little bit, but still not good enough. It got to a point where I was hiding from security at the library overnight so I can study. I prayed Fajr, went home, came back a few hours later, repeat. The only breaks I took were to eat or pray. And that was for 3 years straight. Didn't matter if it was Eid, didn't matter if it was Christmas break, it didn't matter. I was studying. Give up a few years of my life because at the end of the day, they can look at me as a Muslim, they can look at me as a hijabi, they can look at me as whatever they want, but they can't look at my marks except as my marks. That 95 average is a 95 average no matter which way they want to twist it. People kept telling me, but dentistry at Western, especially it's shulik. They don't like Muslims. They don't like females. They don't like this, they don't like that. Doesn't matter. Keep your head high, or you keep it in your books, whichever way you want to look at it, and you keep going. So, you put the hard work in, but you always have to align it with dua. Every Ramadan, I had my dua list, and it wasn't, oh Allah put me in dentistry, because what if that's not what's best for me? It was Allah help me become the best I can be, and if dentistry is what's khair, it's what's right for me, help me to get there. And alhamdulillah, just like that, the marks came by, the DAT scores came by, and then the interview came. I'm like, here we go again. Hijabi going to an interview. Non-English native speaker going to an interview. What am I going to do? For the interview for Western dentistry, it's situational. So they don't just ask you about your marks or your studies or anything like that. They ask you about life experiences you have gone through and how you reacted. And based on those reactions, they will assess the personality and if they see you befitting or not. So a lot of people say, I have a nice personality, I'm going to the interview, they'll like me, so I'll get in. Other people will say, I'm really good at making up stuff on the fly. So I'll make up stuff and I'll get it. What I wanted to do, what I saw befitting, is to practice. I'm going to see what kind of questions I've asked in the past and see what life experiences I've gone through that I can actually bring it on the table and use. And so I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced. And I told myself, it doesn't matter if I don't have a good example to bring that day, I'm not going to lie. Because if it's meant to be, if it's khair for me, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants this to happen for me, that's what's going to happen. And so, comes the day of the interview. I go in, I tie my hijab a little bit tighter that day, and they ask me about why do you want to be a dentist? What is it about dentistry at Western especially? All these questions. And I remember, subhanAllah, instead of hiding from my background and hiding from my Islam, I actually brought that to the table. And the example that comes to mind that I used that day, when they asked me, so what is it about dentistry especially? I'm like, I like to be, use my hands. I like something that I can use science, but I also use my hands. For example, I like to make hijabs, such as the hijab I'm wearing today. And it happened to be a hijab that I had made, that I wore to the interview. And I can see them truly connecting with my story and truly connecting that I'm proud of who I am. I'm not going to be somebody that I'm not with my patients. I'm not going to be somebody that I'm not with them. And that's what it is. You bring everything that you have, and Allah will take care of the rest. And then I was like, okay, I made it. Halas, I can stop struggling now. Dentistry starts. And I've never missed the MSA in my life like I did the first month of dentistry. Everybody in the class had the things that they found in common, going to clubs, going for a drink, going for this and going for that. Definitely not my scene. Tried to see if somebody wanted to go, study. Nobody cared. I'm like, what do I do? They kept insisting, come with us. I'm like, I don't drink. Like, it's okay, just come and watch. It's fine. So-and-so does it, and they're Muslim too. I'm like, but that's not who I want to be. And this is the time where they're going to choose, do they want to be with your friends or not? So I was panicking, and then I'm like, you know what? Why don't I go out of my way and invite them to things that are okay for me to do? So I'm like, let's go to the gym together. I hate working out. I'm like, let's go to the gym together, because that's something they like to do, and it's fine for me. So I started doing that. I'm like, let's host potlucks together. They like to eat, and I can do that. So I started finding ways where I don't have to compromise my religion and my values, but I can still fit in. So alhamdulillah, that eventually worked out, and I have friends still now from there. And one of our actually dearest friends from university ended up being an Orthodox Jewish guy. But because we had so many values in common, that you can find that and work on it. And at the end of the day, you always have to remember, you work hard, you work at school, because nothing is going to make your life as easy as if you have a career set up for you. You have that with you, then everything else lines up, inshallah. Surround yourself with examples that are going to help you stay on the right track, whether it's people that have passed away, Sahaba, successful Muslim people, whichever way you want to look at it. And then surround yourself with good people in everyday life. Because he said the people that are going to remind you of who you want to be and who you should be. And then leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep your prayers, keep your dua, and everything will fall into place, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Heba. Does anyone have any questions? Dr. Heba at all, or story, or experience, or?
There is a question, but it's not relevant. Amazing life history, kind of a beautiful, we really appreciate. But the question is about the other project. Is that okay if I ask?
Sure.
Yeah, because the MAC, you are running all the funds and everything. So is there any hope in future soon we are going to get something out of that? We are really anxiously waiting for that place.
So the latest, did we announce it? I don't know if we announced it yet. The site.
They could be fortunate enough to be the first.
That's a good
So
news.
alhamdulillah. And the sewer lines before that, the sanitary, we have a solution for that too.
Yeah.
So we just have all these hurdles that alhamdulillah are out of the way. And if everybody here can just open up their pockets, we'll be good to go.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Speaker is Brother Sabur Khan. He's an engineer and lawyer by day who graduated with an MBA. And by night, he's the head of Outreach for MAC and also the head of Newer Gardens. So I can call upon Sabur Khan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You guys can hear me fine?
Yes.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair for that update and Jazakallah khair for the question. It is a very exciting moment for us, the New Gardens group. It's been a huge journey, as you can imagine. But there's really good stuff coming up, inshallah, in the near future. A bit about myself, as Akhnaj introduced. I was just reflecting on Sister Hiba's story and how if you want to get somewhere in life, if you want to make something out of you, the story is very common. And I take it back to a story that was shared with me when I was in much younger shoes, such as some of yours. There was a youth conference when I was very young. I think Ahmed and the older brothers organized it. And one of the speakers explained, put a question forward to the youth and said, you have to ask yourself, what is it that you want to do? You have to dream, you have to set a goal for yourself. And you have to understand that most people, they just choose to be the average Joe. It was a funny way to put it, but it made sense to me at the time, and maybe it will make sense to you. And the choices you make in life, you have to ask yourself, are they the choices of the average Joe, or the choices that will take you somewhere much further, somewhere much more ambitious? I was ambitious. I did want to contribute to society. I did want to improve my life. I also come from humble beginnings. I was not born here either. And there was substantial adjustments I had to make when I came to Canada. Where I came from, you didn't have to worry so much about losing your values. Your parents were not as concerned about that. But here, one of the main things my family emphasized to me is, you have to maintain your values. At the end of the day, your values are the most important thing, especially your Islam. If you get everything in this world but you lose your Islam, you have lost it all. And how do you maintain that? The most important part of that is your friends, I remember. And it was a tricky time for me because I came to Canada in grade 7 and all people wanted to do was be cool and just hug each other and do whatever it was to fit in and dress a certain way. And that's how you were cool. Speak a certain way, look a certain way, watch certain shows, talk about them. That's what life was about. You wanted to fit in, that's what it was. And here I am. I went to Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge at that time was the whitest school there was, if I may use the phrase. There were literally no immigrants in Oak Ridge at that time, except for one, my classmate, Brother Imad Haydar. I think he works very much in this organization here. Him and I were pretty close. We even went for Hajj together, subhanAllah, not knowing. But aside from that, I had nobody. There was nobody at Oak Ridge. Maybe my sisters, but it was a very difficult time. It was a very difficult time not belonging, not really knowing who I can make friends with. But my family was always there for me. And the other thing that really helped me was my connection to the masjid, my regular connection to the masjid. Somehow, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I made it through high school, despite all the challenges. I can see some of you guys are in high school, and it is a very difficult time. You see how everybody's doing everything and whatever they want to do. They don't care about any limits whatsoever. Yet here you are, you have to put limits on yourself. It's not an easy thing. It's a very difficult thing, but that's what gives you character. That's what makes you different. Because everybody just followed the way, but you were different. You set a much higher standard for yourself. and you took measures to go about it. So that was a challenging phase for me. And really sort of the key thing I want to emphasize in my talk here is the friendships and the relationships that carried me through my life. First of all, in my family, my mother, my siblings, my father, they're sort of, sometimes they were very strict with me, and I didn't appreciate it at the time. But looking back, if it wasn't for that, I would be a very different person today. I know that for a fact. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected me, and my family is what protected me. The second thing that really saved me is my close friends. I had people like Brother Amir to look up to. Many other people in the community to look up to. I had to make a choice who it is that I want to spend time with. In one of these conferences, somebody said, says, quote, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. There's also, I used to attend the halaqa for Sheikh Abu Faraz Amuzafir Kamal. And we were trying to memorize Surah Al-Furqan. And I remember we were reading these ayahs and we were trying to memorize them. And it just had a profound effect on me at the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني وكان الشيطان للإنسان خذولا. Oh, woe to me! I wish I had not taken that one as a friend. He led me away from the remembrance after it had come to me, and ever is shaitan to man a deserter. And I just reflected on that. And I thought about it. I was like, all these people that want to be cool for each other, they want to gain their attention and their approval. They don't really care about them. I can dress a certain way, I can speak a certain way, I can do things a certain way, and they may seem to be approving of me, but they don't really care about me. Tomorrow, if something happens to me, they're not even going to think about me. These are not people that truly care about me, so why should I care so much about them that I give up the most important thing in my life? And so at that moment, it was something very important for me. And by nature, I was a bit shy. So I was very choosy about who my friends were. When I went to university, in university you don't have much of a choice, but you have to interact. I was in the engineering program. And engineering, like Hiba mentioned, every professional school is a party school. You, as they say, you play hard and you work hard, something like that. And yeah, the engineers like to play hard. And they go to the bars, they party, and they would show up to class drunk. That was obviously not for me. I had to be very careful where and who I spent time with. Sometimes they would gather at their residences to work on projects. I was very careful to try not to go to avoid going to the residences, because the residences are frankly like a zoo. But still, alhamdulillah, university was not too bad because the MSA was there. There's a brotherhood, a sisterhood on campus, and it's a good support mechanism. We would go do our prayers at the prayer room. It was pretty nice. Then I started work, and work was very different. At work, again, there was no Muslim. It was like Oak Ridge again. And at work, you can't do what you do in school. Like you can, in school, you can choose to go to class and just not interact so much with certain people. At work, you have to interact with everyone. You have to, it's like another family almost. You have to build relationships. You have to get into their lives. They're going to get into your lives a bit. It's far more open. And so I did my engineering. Then while I was working, I did my MBA from Laurier in Waterloo. And then recently I finished my law school as well while I was working full-time. And alhamdulillah, so I went into leadership roles at the company. And in leadership roles, you have an even greater expectation of you to interact with people, to build links. So how do you manage that? Because if you spend time with certain people, again, like that quote said, tell me who your friends are, tell me where you spend your time, and I'll tell you who you are. If you're going to spend time in these kind of places with people who have certain interests, obviously that's going to have an effect. And so I had to learn to balance that. I have certain limits for myself, but I also understand that I have to engage in that sort of life. We have company events, sometimes alcohol is served. I try very hard to limit my time and what exposure I have there. But sometimes I have to go and engage in those kind of events. Obviously, when I go to work, I have one brother who's Muslim in my job right now. His name is Muhammad Said. He was actually the board of directors for this organization some time ago. We go for our Friday prayers together. We actually hold the Friday prayer at work when there's enough people. So we try to keep our faith, but at the end of the day, the vast majority of people are non-Muslims. And for me, always, my religion is the first thing. My faith and my values are the first thing. The other success in life, as much as it is important and we have to be ambitious, are secondary. And so to balance that, I have had to maintain a close connection to my community. I always tell myself, whatever I do in this community, it's not for the... I hope it's for the people and for the community and for the collective good. But first and foremost, it's for me. It saves me, it protects me. It keeps me close to you and gives me another layer of protection. It keeps me grounded in my values and my connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this faith. If it wasn't for this community, if it wasn't for the friends I have, I know I will lose this. And so, if I can emphasize one thing to everyone, is that set high goals, first of all. Whether it's for this life or whether it's for the after. If you are just going to aim for being an average Joe, finish school with average marks, maybe go to university, go to an average program, get married, have a couple of children, retire, that's life, bam, done. Goes by a blink of an eye. Time just goes faster and faster and faster. So being average is very easy, and if that's what you want, it's not hard. But if you want to be successful, you have to make incredible sacrifices. And I can't trump the sacrifices Sister Hiba explained. But I'm telling you, that story is not just for Sister Hiba, that story is for everybody who wants to aim high. You have to make a lot of sacrifices. And the last thing I want to emphasize is when success comes, there are troubles inside you that will come. Certain things that you found importance in your life for will not be as important. You won't have the urge to make dua, perhaps, as much as you had the urge before. And you have to, at that moment, especially remember where your roots are, where your grounds are. Does that feel okay?
Brother Sabur, that was, mashallah, very beautiful. I didn't know you had a beautiful voice reading Quran. Might have to have a one-on-one session with you after to hear more of your recitation. Does anyone have any questions for Brother Sabur? Yes, sister?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for the speech. That was really inspiring. And second of all, now you guys are like older than us, so
It's very hard for me to accept that sometimes, but
A little bit.
so you guys obviously have experiences and stuff, and we appreciate that. But when we need someone like who's actually living our struggle right now, like when we need someone that's actually a youth, like you're obviously youth, but like that's like a teenager that would actually take the initiative and share his or her experience with us. I think that would be like a very effective way of, just kind of gathering together. It doesn't have to be one. We can just like make a gathering. I'm new, so I don't know if you guys have that or not, but I think we really need that one or like group or like a person that is our age and is living what we are facing right now. It doesn't have to be like that major or anything. It's just like my opinion, and I think it's like it matters. So.
I was in the same shoes not very long ago. I like to think I'm not that old yet, but I know I am. So it was a very difficult time for me. And the fact of the matter is every person's journey is very unique. Your journey is very unique. And when I was going through the challenges I was going through in high school and subsequently thereafter, I wanted to find someone that could help me with my journey. What I found worked best for me was I found multiple people that had a little bit of my journey. First and foremost, Rasulullah ﷺ was the best of the examples for me. The men and women around him were the best of examples for me. And so for me to take time to learn about them helped me tremendously. Thereafter, there were many people in the community. And I would talk to them. I would go to the events where they were. I would go to the masjid where they were. And it was not easy for me. I was a very shy person. But I would push myself to try to get to know them, to try to get them to know me. And so I could get ideas. I remember this one time, I was in a very difficult situation personally, going through some challenges in high school. And I didn't know where to go to, and I just went to this one brother who was still very close to me. And I opened up with him, and I was like, I'm going through this thing, what advice do you have for me? And the brother made it look like this was not an issue at all. It was such an easy matter. And I was like, I wish I had come to someone before. I put so much burden on myself. I went through so much hardship mentally, like overthinking this issue. I wish I'd opened up to someone before. There are certain things you don't always feel comfortable opening up with someone in your family. So I wish there is someone for you that is directly relevant, but I think what will be more realistic perhaps is you interact with many different people. There's many different people.
I'm just going to add, so Mariam, I know you come to SYG. We're happy, inshallah, to have that conversation with you and with the other girls that attend. So you're more like, you let me know what topics you want to talk about or what you're struggling about specifically, and we can address that for sure. Yeah, thanks.
Beautiful question she did. I raised, alhamdulillah, 2 sons, and they are 6 years apart. The eldest one is, mashallah, engineer now, the youngest one is grade 11. So I have totally different challenge raising him. The difference I feel, it's a new technology, because when Ahmed was growing, they come to parents for some question, for inquiries, they listen. But now when they have inquiries, they question, they go to Google. Like, they are very independent now for everything. So that's the biggest change in their life from last 10 years especially. I remember we just have one cell phone, one landline, but now it's like 6 cell phones in the house. So they are very much into it, and all kind of information they are getting is 2% is right, 98% is not authentic. That's why we just have only one brother Sabur here. It's a unique case, so it needs to be very, oh, I appreciate that. But the thing, like 100 youth, you just get one person who is that strong that can stay away from the challenges and save his faith first, then he goes to his career, other things. So I think this thing needs to be arranged, Brother Naji.
Yeah, and so, we can always do
Yeah.
that, and we can
Yeah.
have our programs every
Exactly. That will be very nice.
So Sister Ali has been running the SYG for the last many years. And mashallah, we chose her today to address a lot of the challenges our sisters, and we have a BYG as well, that she's been seeing and her committee has been seeing.
Sure.
Yeah, so every Friday from 7 to 10 at the MAC Center.
Oh,
So-
good to know.
Where here?
At the MAC Center, actually.
Mag Center?
Yeah, and so we're very open to the suggestions that the community wants on what discussions we want to have and what we want to talk about.
Sure.
I just want to add one thing, because I was in the exact same shoes where it's like, but what do you know? You don't know what I'm going through because you're older, you're a guy, you're this, you're that. With time, though, you realize you might as well learn from somebody else's experiences. High vision is 20/20 is what they say. And it's hard to see it when you're living it, but it's so much clearer when somebody's already gone through it and they're telling you for your own sake. When I was training in school and we were trying to do root canals and we were just messing up day and night, it was crazy. We'd go to each other like, what are we doing wrong? And one day the prophet's like, nobody came and asked me questions. Why are you guys leading each other? The blind leading the blind. Just come and ask me. I've been doing this for 30 years. Like, oh, but you don't remember what it was like not even finding the canal. It's like, no, I do. We can help you. So it's important to talk to each other and people your age and people in your situation, but don't, honestly, wallahi, just don't undermine what other people have gone through. Because it's not that.
Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it, and I'm like very open with like taking experiences from older people. But just like kind of my perspective was that to have like a person that's our age and like not, it doesn't have to be one person. Just like a kind of a gathering.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be good. Like for
Yeah, last week Dr. Munir said that soon we will have without parents session,
Nice.
and that will be one-to-one with you guys.
sure.
Yeah, in next 4 weeks we are planning that kind of a sitting for.
May Allah keep you up. But which is in your opinion, whatever, which should more affect your life as an example here? Your friends or your family? And do you think the family, if the person raised good in a good family, a religious family, that's what I mean, it's better than another kid raised in another family but he has good friends? Who is the my question?
So I think that question can go many different ways for different people, but I'll explain the way it went for me, if it helps. For me, at different stages of my life, either or the other was more important. When I was very young, obviously, my family, immediate family, was very important to me. They nourished within me the values that I have today. Even more important than my parents were my grandparents. I remember they would come over, and especially my grandfather, he would take immense interest in my upbringing. That is something I very much cherish, and I hope in our future communities here in Canada, as our future generations will have grandparents, that is something that they can benefit from. As I became a teenager, my connection with the household was not as strong. Not because, perhaps it's just part of the growing process. I was looking for answers outside of the house. And that's where my connection to the masjid and brothers close to me, older brothers like Brother Amir, and at the time I would attend Dr. Munir's talks, Sheikh Jamal's talks, different talks. That's where that stuff became more important. When I went to university, that's when friends became really important. Alhamdulillah, I had, I think, a good circle of friends. We decided to make a weekly halaqah. We would read together the Quran. I had never really read the Quran in that way, where I sit down and read it and think about it, about how it's relevant to my life. And so we kind of forced each other to kind of do that. That had tremendous impact. Now, I'd say it's kind of balanced. My family is very important to me. My community is very important to me. And even the non-Muslim friends are very important to me. They all influence me. Now I hope, I'm never going to be truly mature, but I'm always going to be young. But I have a certain level of maturity where I can say that, look, this is going to impact me positively. I'm constantly trying to regulate that. This is what I can get from my family. I can't get this. For this, I have to go outside. This is what I can get from my Muslim friends. This is what I can get from my non-Muslim friends. Okay, my non-Muslim friends, they're also going to give me this kind of influence, which I need to offset and balance. So for that, I need this kind of stuff. So it's been different through different stages of my life, and I think it will be different for different people. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so you did have a friend not Muslim. Because personally, I raise my kids, no Muslim, friend not Muslim. That's my culture, my house, my kids. Non-Muslim, your friend.
My mother was the same way.
Yeah, but now my daughter, she bring it non-Muslim, and she is my friend, and you have to accept her. So
my mother went a level beyond you, sister. She said, this guy's Muslim, but he's not a good Muslim.
She did that. She asked me, I know many Muslims and they are very bad. What about this one? So it's hard to decide.
So yeah, it's a very difficult decision, but I think, sister, you have to watch your child as well and see what they're open to and how that will impact them. I'll let the sister stop.
I just have a comment on that. I don't think that's... Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't think that's a positive approach if your kids are going to live in Canada for the rest of their life and they're going to work in an organization. I work in an organization, there's 100 non-Muslims and I am the only Muslim. How can I be successful if I don't know how to deal with them? How can I show them that Islam is good if I'm always no? No, I want to be out there and I want to know how to communicate with them. I want them to love me, even at a young age. So that girl coming to your house and you help feeding her and taking care of her and she's having fun with your child, that's you telling her that Muslims are good. And that's what we have to do, right? Because when I work in an organization with 100 people and I'm scared of them, I'm not going to succeed. I'm going to leave the organization.
We don't want our children to become aliens in this society.
Of course not. We need the balance, right? I can share just a quick thing actually that it's just subhanAllah, it goes a long way. I was at work and they're all non-Muslims and we have a target to get. So I have to see 65 people in 1 month. So I said, I prayed to God that I can get that amount of people. And I got it, alhamdulillah. So the nurse that's with me, she's not religious. She's like, I think I should start praying. She puts her hands up and starts saying, God, I hope I can get 65.
Yes.
Right? So it's the relationship, right? They're human like us. They might be Muslim than you. So you don't want to be that strict.
When you first asked your question, what's more important, family or friends? The only answer I can think of that truly resembles life is it actually doesn't matter if it's friends or family. You have to teach your kids to see the good in every person and try to achieve that and leave the bad in every person. Because every family is going to have its flaws, even though it has its advantages. And every friend, they have things that we should look up to and things that we should leave aside. Every scholar has things that we should look up to and things that we leave aside. None of us are saints and none of us are prophets. So at the end of the day, even if some people are not Muslim, They have so many things that we can look up to in them. And some people that are Muslims, that may not be good Muslims or Muslim enough, or whatever caliber of Muslim we're looking at, have things that we can look up to and things that we have to leave. And if you have that model in life, then you'll always be successful. You'll always be grabbing the good things around you, no matter who it's coming from, and you'll always be able to shield yourself from the wrong things, and not being just taking one person as your idol and going in that direction. And that can be very dangerous, especially nowadays.
Very, very.
Can I add something to that, and then just to qualify what I said earlier? So I really think this is something where parents are in the best position because they understand each one of their child, and each child is different. I myself am not a parent, so I don't fully relate to this, but I honestly think some children are able to make better decisions, and they're prepared to make better decisions when it comes to, am I a follower, am I a leader? I see this, which aspects do I accept, which aspects do I not accept? And I speak from experience because many of my peers, as I went through school, because of the friends they made, they fell. And so, as much as we want them to integrate into the society, and that's one of the biggest goals we have to be protective as well. And children at a certain age need friendly support to be able to get through that. We can't make complete harsh boundaries, because then eventually they're going to stop listening to you and they're just going to go and do their own thing anyways. You can't stop that when it gets to that point. But in the best possible way, you have to understand each one of your children. This is just my opinion, not a parent yet. You have to understand each child as best as you can and give them that level of freedom.
Excuse me, for this point, there's also limitations to the parents for certain ages, especially when the child becomes 16, or maybe from 16 to 18, when they feel that they are independent,
Yes.
they know everything,
Yes.
they will not listen to parents anymore.
They
So
have Google.
how, parents may not be the good source of information or support to their child.
Absolutely.
Perfect comment, and I think the sister made a very good comment. I think we've raised our children to be aliens, to be honest with you, that when they get to that 16 or 17, they just want to get out of being aliens, of being away from Muslim community, away from their Muslim cousins and so on. And the better approach would be not to leave it till they're 16 or 17. By 16, 17, it's too late, as you mentioned. They don't trust their parents as much. They're trusting everyone on the street more than they trust their parents. So the best bet we can make as parents is really from the young age. From that, when they're 4 or 5 years old, all the way up to 16, to invest a lot of time into that stage, into having them in safe environments, in Islamic center, in Islamic institutions with Muslim friends, having in different activities. It is time consuming. Just like we plan for sports, we need to plan for what are we going to do with other Muslim events, with other Muslim activity. That lack of identity is what we find in a lot of our youth today. And the sister made a great comment. There's only one of Sabur here, but there's 1,000 outside in the city. Why don't we have 1,000 Saburs in this room? And
You don't want to have 1,000.
MashaAllah. And that's the challenge, brother, is, our imams tell us, most parents go to them when their children are 16, 17. They're not going to them when they're 4 or 5. We have the concept of saying, our children are young, let them have fun, let them play. And we feel the heat when they're 16 and 17, and by that time, it is too late. And to be honest with you, I've learned something as well. No matter how good we are as parents, you can be the most religious, the best. At the end of the day, it's a tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the dua you have to make for them every day, every night. you can have them memorize the whole Quran by the time they're 10 years old. That wallahi will not help them if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't will. So that we need to also realize that no matter how good we are, we shouldn't say she's better, I am better. It's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but most of the work and investment and time should be before they get to 16. I'm sensitive to time, but yeah.
I have a question. So I have twins, one boy and one girl, 6 years old, 6.5 years old. So I have a challenge with my boy, especially because he's like self-confident and he's independent so much. So everything I tell him to do, so he has to negotiate and discuss, and why is that, so and I am the boss of myself. I can dress myself by the way I want. So sometimes I find something that's unacceptable in his behavior, and I said, no, I don't agree with boys to wear necklace, or so you're a boy, so you're not supposed to be. Why is that so? So sometimes I find like arguments. So he's very arguing. He likes to argue with me with lots of things. So I'm raising him by myself. So I'm a single mom. So I find that so hard with him. So sometimes I try to let it go, and sometimes I try to convince him. So it's like a win-lose game with him. So I have a challenge with that. So I don't know.
He sounds like he's going to be a lawyer. So maybe put him in that direction if he likes to argue.
He's smart and he's like self-confident, and so it's hard for me to deal with him.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you. I can tell you this is very healthy for a child to be confident and to be able to say no. Our scientists and scholars have said that's very healthy versus a shy person that will always say yes, because that's really dangerous.
He doesn't say yes.
So mashallah, that's very healthy. That is very good. It just needs to be, I guess, guided in the right direction. And inshallah, there is ways. I personally do it by separating the siblings and taking that son or daughter separately on a trip by themselves or a location, and developing that relationship of a trust that, because when they're around other people, around other siblings, it doesn't work as well.
It's hard for me, especially I'm by myself. I'm with them all the time, so I cannot. Sometimes I have the alone time with them, but it's hard.
And inshallah we can, there are more expert, inshallah, sisters and brothers that we can, inshallah, get more help. It's just I'm sensitive to that.
This is Sister Alia Al-Foodi, did I say that right? Sister Alia is a food and nutritionist, and by day and by night she's led the MAC Youth Department for the last 5 years. I'd like to call upon Sister Alia.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for having us. It's my pleasure to be here today. So I'm going to start by actually telling a lot of you that I was your age when I moved to Canada. So I was about 15, 16, and I was lost, and I was confused, and I struggled in my brain for 3 years to wear the hijab, not to wear the hijab, pray at school, not pray at school, tell my friends I'm Muslim, tell them I'm not Muslim, maybe they'll care, maybe they won't. So I went to high school. I just moved from Abu Dhabi, and I was scared. I was scared of everybody. I was scared to fail. I was scared to wear the hijab. And I met a friend, and she wore hijab. And she told me, if you are to do something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will never leave you. And so if we take a step towards Allah, He comes running to us. So whatever we do, we need to renew our intention and say, I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. I'm going to wear that hijab. It might be a struggle, but I'm doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to pray at school. I know it's a struggle, but my ajr is with Allah. So I told my friends that I was going to wear the hijab, and they told me, if you wear it, there's 2 classes that you're going to fail. 2 of the teachers do not like Muslims. And I was in both of those classes. So I wore the hijab, and I said, what am I going to do? You know what? I'm going to try my best. So I was in that class, I tried my best, I did my work, I studied. Comes graduation, that one teacher that they told me was going to fail me was the teacher that nominated me for an award. So it's what we do, it's our actions. It's not our hijab, it's my action. If I'm in class and I'm chatting and not doing my work, that's why the teacher doesn't like me. It's not my hijab. If I wear hijab for Allah, Allah is going to give me success. Right? So that's our, we need to renew our intention. And we need to be proud. We need to be proud that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Islam for us. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose for me to pray. Right? So I have a question for all the young people. What's the purpose of praying? Yes, Maria.
It's a kind of a special meeting with Allah.
Okay.
Like having that connection.
Isn't that so cool? Isn't that the best meeting that you can have? Every 5 times a day you can speak to Allah, and we put it aside and we're scared? Why? Right? I even asked myself that. I'm speaking to the Lord of the world, He's the only one that's going to help me. Right? Okay, what else? When the adhan goes on, what does the mu'adhin say? Call to prayer, but what else? What's the purpose of salah? Hayya ala al-falah. Can I get one of you little ones over here? Tell me, what does hayya ala al-falah mean? Hayya ala al-salah is come to prayer, but what's hayya ala al-falah?
Come for salah.
Success.
Come for success, right?
Get the success.
Imagine, so I'm at school and I'm scared I'm going to fail that exam. Allah says, come to success. If you pray, I'm going to give you success. If you pray, I'm going to let you ace that exam. If you pray, you're going to win that basketball game. When you're playing basketball, you're like, Maghrib, what's on? I'm not going to pray, I'll pray later. But you want to win that game, so you pray, right? That's how we have to think about it. Hayya ala falah should be our push and our motivation to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every single day. And I want us all to remember that, inshallah, because life gets busy, life gets scary, life is like, it's hard to pray in this society, but we need to be strong, right? So I'm going to talk about my struggle with prayer. So I'm a dietitian, so I had to train with other dietitians. So I had to spend 8 weeks with 10 different dietitians, right? And she was with me 8 hours of the day. So I had to somehow find time to pray. So my story was, I was in Woodstock, and there's no Muslims, like 0 Muslims. They've never seen a hijabi before. So I'm like scared. And I'm driving with my preceptor to Woodstock every single morning, and how am I going to tell her that I need to pray? I think if I tell her I'm going to pray, she's going to fail me. This is what shaitan is telling me in my brain. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just come home and then pray Dhuhr and Asr. No, Alia, you can pray, it's okay. So the first day comes, I go, my preceptor, the dietitian, so she's like training me, she's running a class. And she's talking about healthy eating and emotional eating and how we need to take care of ourselves. And that stress is something that makes us overeat. And so we need to find something that stops us from stressing. And what does she say? She says, you can pray to relieve your stress. And that was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like talking to me, saying, Hadia, you can ask her to pray. Right? That was my first day because I was scared. I was with her for like 2 months. So I asked her, and she was like, of course you can pray. This is the room you can pray in. This is the time. Just ask me for permission to pray. Right? So we need to be strong. This is our religion. This is our success. And that was the best placement I had. And that gave me a lot of opportunities to become who I am today. Right? So I want us all, inshallah, to be strong, to be confident that we can pray wherever we are. And if someone tells us we can't, then that's like we need to tell them this is my religion and I need to pray. Don't be scared, don't be shy. It's our religion. We're Muslim. We're lucky to be Muslim. I read a complete article on that, and I'm just going to share with you guys, is that prayer is success for this dunya and for the akhirah. And I want to ask the young ones, I want to engage you a little bit. Why is salah so important? Why is prayer so important? So if today was my last day on the dunya, why is salah so important? Thank you. Yes, that's the first question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask us. Right? So if my mom asks me to get bread, and I leave the house, right when I open the door, she asks me, did you get the bread? And that's the same with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first question He asks us is prayer. Go ahead.
A really beautiful example I got from the online lecture. And they said, when you appear in an exam, and there is a compulsory question, if you don't answer that, your paper is going to go in the garbage. It's at least just put an attendance. For khusu and khushu, for sincere heart, it's difficult even for our age. I'm an old person, I admit that. But for youth, just put an attendance. Just go and read for a short period. Just start with this thing, that this is my attendance, because at least when angel come and ask the question, at least you were present there.
Yeah, of course. And so a couple tips that I have for overcoming some of these challenges is it's very important for us to attend these types of talks, and it's very important for us to attend a halaqah regularly. So if you do not attend a halaqah, a Quran halaqah, a weekly halaqah, so we have the Sisters Youth Group, the Brothers Youth Group at the MAC Center. We have a Sisters halaqah at the masjid on Wednesdays and at the center. That is your core. That is your strength. This is what we need. We need that every single week. We need to learn something new that brings us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we need to read as well. So I'm going to suggest a book for everyone, if anyone's interested. It's called The Productive Muslim. Very, very good read. And it helps you how to balance Islam in North America. So this is a book I've been reading, and it's been helping me. But honestly, if you do not attend a halaqah weekly, I really encourage you to. And having good friends is key. So if it wasn't for my friends, I would not be where I am today. And a third tip is having a mentor. So if you don't have a mentor, then that's also a problem. So a mentor could be your mom, and they're usually the best mentors. A mentor could be your older sister, or it could be your halaqah leader, your Quran teacher, somebody you look up to that helps you and guides you. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I appreciate the invitation.
Sister Anya, it's a great topic. Just want to advise everyone that all the institutions, mashallah, have youth groups, so the London Muslim Mosque, the MAC Center, as well as the Islamic Center. So inshallah, everyone provides these brothers and sister groups. So inshallah, make sure you reach out to them, and they'll be able to provide support. Our last speaker, he says it's not best for last, but it's best for last. Is our brother Remarkably. He's an engineer by day. He was the head of the Renewable Gardens project for the last 5 years, which he's kind of thankfully given it over to our brother Sabur. And apparently, he created the first rubber bullet or something like that. I hope he's going to talk about that, because I want to know more about this, and I'm pretty sure you do too. I don't think he was going to talk about it, but I think I forced him to. I'll call him brother Remarkably.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. بسم الله ولله الحمد. I first want to establish something, which is everyone made me very old today. So I'm actually younger by heart than all of them. So don't look at me as a very old. I'm just about to start. So I'll tell you a little bit about my life and how quick things happen. But before I start, I just want to ask, how many of you, of the children, were not born in Canada? Okay. So maybe 30% versus the other. But a lot of you came very young to Canada. So you have not had the challenge of many of our speakers, and same as me, where we came in and we had that huge obstacle of trying to learn a new language. So mashallah, you were way ahead of any of us here already. So next I want to ask you, what does success mean to you? When you envision success, what do you see? Anything, just money, wealth,
Being fulfilled.
being fulfilled in like what way?
Like by your job, by the values of who you are.
Mashallah.
Achieving your goals.
Reaching your goals. Oh, yeah.
Jannah.
Jannah, mashallah.
Inspiration, and it's also a way of living.
Inspiration, having inspirations around you. Okay. So success, we've heard wealth, we've heard Jannah, we've held having inspiration or models. One more?
People around you, and also the living above.
MashaAllah, that's great. The feeling that you've helped others, that you're there for others, gives you a sense of fulfillment, MashaAllah. For some people that are doctors or nurses or social, they love the fact that they've helped others. Yeah, so, I am an engineer by profession. I'm a biochemical engineer. A little bit about myself. I had a very modest, when we immigrated to Canada, I was 12 years old, just like Sabur. English was very, very difficult for me. Learned English, was a very shy person, got bullied at school, all of these things that you hear. But alhamdulillah, managed, very well to get into high school. At high school, I had a lot of Muslim friends that I've attached myself to. And just like the sister, my parents told me, stick to the Muslim friends, which I did. Graduated from high school. Since grade 9, I've worked. The way my parents raised me is I worked around when I was 14 years old. How many of you here are 14 or above?
I'm at least 14.
MashaAllah. Okay, good. So for the children that are 14 or above, you can start thinking about work. Work gets you out of a lot of those emotional, a lot of the trouble, a lot of the Nintendo or it's not Nintendo now, it's Xbox, a lot of those screens, a lot of those games, getting yourself up to do something else. So that's how I got myself. From the day I was 14 years old, till this day, I have never stopped working. Whatever that work was, it was a restaurant, convenience stores, pizza, whatever it is, I worked. I went to university and, hardly made it. I didn't have the highest marks, or I wasn't smart enough to want to be a doctor even, so stuck to engineering. And in engineering, I, worked every year, biochemical engineering, environmental engineering, but I realized that after 6 months, actually my grades were dipping down because I was around a lot of friends, and it was an opportunity to kind of really go outside of the close family. But then I decided I'm going to find a friend that is smart, that is hardworking, and will dedicate time. And that's what I did. And for the next 2 years, it was easy sailing. In third year, I had a trait myself, which I encourage everyone to do. I've always liked to go to class 5 minutes early, or to go to the lab 5 minutes early. And I don't know what it is, but ever since I was born, just being punctual was one of my big things. So I've always gone to class early, 5 minutes, went to the lab 5 minutes. And that day, I was there always before my professor. And that day, my professor showed up early. I was there at 7:50, and the lab starts at 8, and she was there 7:45. And she told me something I didn't realize, but she told me I'll always remember that. And so she remembered it. She picked me to go to Germany for this co-op, went to Germany for 4 months, did a co-op at a new technology school, a university. And my career started from there. Unfortunately, I've had an accident, came back. I was on a crutch for the last year of my university. So imagine, I'm in my 4th year trying to finish. I had a design project. I had to stay in libraries and do a lot of this. And I did it while ill, while on a crutch. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me that year for my project to become #1 in Canada. And across all the universities in Canada, it was a design project. And the competition was in Vancouver. We competed amongst many other universities. The reason I'm telling you this is there are many, many challenges until this point that I got here. We get a lot of youth who say, I'm sick, I'm ill, I just immigrated, I don't know English, I don't have enough friends, I don't have this, I don't have that. And life will not morph into, a fairy tale where everything works out at the end of the day. I guarantee you that every one of you will have so many obstacles in your life. And if we stop at every point you have an obstacle, you will never proceed. All we can do is arm ourselves with all the skills and all the people and the environment that will make us successful as we move forward. So I get to my 4th year design project. It was the first year Western University wins first place in Canada. I come back, everyone is very happy for the university accomplishments. But what happens with me next is I graduate after September 11th. And again, there is another obstacle. I don't find a job. And all of our class doesn't find a job. The year before I graduate, everyone had 3-4 offers. So again, I was top in I had the national award, I had all of this, but we had no jobs. So I went back to do my master's. I thought might as well, I'm around and no job and a lot of loans. And this project comes to mind. This project came to me, which is the law enforcement project. Is to design a new composite material that does not kill people when they're, a rubber bullet of some sort that does not kill people. So my professor came to me and said, we have this project, we got $1 million from the government to invent something like this, and so on. So I went to Dr. Munir, at that stage I remember, I went to Sheikh Jamal, and I told him, is it halal to even work in this field, in law enforcement and police and so on? How many of you would love an opportunity to work with police and bullets and guns? I guess every one of you now has a Nerf gun and goes around and shoots each other, right? So this is every boy's dream, is to be playing with this stuff, but not real stuff, because you don't want to kill people. So anyways, alhamdulillah, Dr. Munir and Sheikh Jamal told me, yeah, you should. Like, this is a great opportunity. So I took it on. And I can tell you, I finished my master's in about a year and a half. And it was an industrial collaboration, which I had to spend half of my time in Sarnia with the company. My professor came to me and told me at the end of that year, Amir, I am seeing you a lot more on TV and radio than I'm seeing our Prime Minister. For that year, this was a big thing, because it was the world's safest bullet invented here in Canada. And why am I saying this? Is because my name, I never changed my name. My name stayed as Amir Abeid, which is a very hard name to pronounce. I have an accent. It's not like I'm fully out of an accent. I am originally, not from here. And yet, this wasn't an obstacle. And I realized that we put the obstacles for ourselves. We put the obstacles around not white, I am brown, I am this, I am that, I'm originally from somewhere else, I am sick, I am ill. We put these obstacles for ourselves. But once you take that out of your mind, then you will be obstacle-free. You will have obstacles, but you will not have it limit you. And alhamdulillah, after I graduated, again, the job market was so dead. So I worked at the company for a little bit, but then I got a big scholarship, alhamdulillah, to do my doctorate degree. Started my doctorate degree. Few months later, I got a message or email from Houston, Texas, to basically, for a very good job. Now again, if we thought Canada or London, Ontario, there is racism or hard to find jobs or so on, in Texas, it's actually a lot worse. In Texas, as we know, it's just a lot worse. And alhamdulillah, you know, I get the job and I take it. The reason I'm saying this is, again, my name was not an obstacle. I still meet a lot of people who basically change their name. They want to change who they are. They want to change their identity. They want to change the prayer times. They want to change the fact that they fast. They want to change all of that to please others or to look good to others. But every one of you here can make that decision, just like the sisters and the brothers here, to hold on to your identity. As Umar ibn al-Khattab has said, we are a nation who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us dignity with our Islam. If we choose to have dignity because of our money, or because of who we are, or where we came from, Allah will be gracious. We will not have that dignity. Now the challenge I see today, and besides my chemical, I established a chemical company in 2007 because I loved research, and I started research projects, and we started inventing many other things. Is I started a restaurant business. We brought a restaurant chain here, where we wanted to try and work with a lot of the young and a lot of the youth and a lot of the Muslims and non-Muslims. And this opportunity kind of opened our eyes that we live actually in a bubble. We live in a perfect bubble where we have parents, we have a community, but that's only for few percent of the ones are here. But there are another 20,000 Muslims out there that we don't see, and they're not part of this. And so our job, as the sister has said, is how can we bring them closer to you? How can we involve them and engage them to let them know that we are here to help them succeed? Because 98% of all mankind and womankind choose to be Mr. or Mrs. Normal. 98% choose to have a normal, average life. Can I ask, how many lives will you guys live? I'm only seeing one. Anyone will live 2 lives? No one will live 2 lives, right? You may? Everyone will live 1 life. And so if you don't make the decision today to go back home, if you don't make the decision to go back home and decide you're going to live only 1 life, and you better make the most out of this life to have a full, fulfilling life, so that if tomorrow Allah chooses you, you'll say, I have done everything I want to do. I've reached all the success that I could have reached. And come up with that list of success. Put the obstacles aside. Put everything aside. It's just like a pot. You know, a pot has a lid. And most of us take that lid just a little bit to let a little bit of the steam out. Today, take all of that lid out. And the sky is the limit. And tell yourself, you're going to be London's next mayor. You're going to be Canada's next prime minister. Tell yourself and you want to be successful. There's no obstacle for any of you here to be the next to be the next Canada's prime minister. Don't put obstacles. You will succeed, inshallah. The number of things I've put for myself is I've always visualized myself successful. I've always told myself I want to be successful. And I've always made my goals public. Like I wanted to, and made sure my team understands what are my goals, what do I want to achieve at the end of this year. So having a concrete goal is very important. Take control of your self-talk. This is a big thing. All of us here have 2 minds, and doctors can explain this a little better than mine. But you have an active mind and a subconscious mind. Your active mind is the one that is moving you. Your subconscious mind is the one that is breathing for you and moving your parts, and is the one that is thinking while you're sleeping. Your subconscious mind does not know how to refuse things. If I go to any of you and I tell you, you're a very smart boy, your subconscious mind will not actually say anything, will take it. If you go to someone and say, you're not smart, you're this, you're that, your subconscious mind will accept it. If you tell yourself, I'm ill, your subconscious mind will make you ill. So self-talk is very important. Who you're around, the environment you're around is very important. How people talk to you and who you talk to will affect who you are. Because your subconscious mind just accepts it. So make sure when you talk to yourself, you tell yourself you will be successful. And success is not just dunya. When I'm saying success, I'm talking about Jannah, I'm talking about success here, success in all facets, success in your relationships. And get your children involved with other people. You know, we may look older, but we were young at one point, and we're still young. They're older, but we're still young, and we can still, we still see what's going on. What we've gone through is a lot worse than, some of the things you guys have gone through. You're way ahead of us because a lot of you speak their language, have been here, and you now just need to be around others that are successful and can see that success. And again, success is from Allah. You can be the smartest person in this world. If Allah doesn't give you that success or doesn't will it for you, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why the Prophet has said that all our matters are khair. All our matters are khair. Don't think that because you're not a millionaire, that you're not successful. It has nothing to do with success. Allah may have given you the health, may have given you the power to think, the power to be close to Him. That is success. And this is my, in the closing, I'd really like to thank, Dr. Munir for this opportunity he gave us. And really to advise and to thank the brothers and sisters who are here. And inshallah, this won't be the last opportunity we meet. There will be many opportunities through many of the events that Brother Naj indicated and the sisters and brother indicated. Don't feel you're on an island by yourself. We are all here to make sure we bring our community up together and we help each child and each youth come up and be out of the thought of obstacles and limitations. Jazakumullah khair.
So that concludes the panel. Inshallah, next week, Dr. Munir will be back and we'll be continuing the lecture series. I don't know what the topic will be yet. I have to speak to Dr. Munir to get that, but inshallah that will be posted on the newsletter, and so you'll all know what that topic is. Thank you for coming out, and if anyone has any questions, we can ask the panel after. We just want to conclude. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for coming out.
اجعل الأعمال طاعة هذه الدنيا كساعة اجعل الأعمال